Welcome to the second video of the Winhance Development Diaries, where I give you a more behind the scenes look of how I'm developing Winhance or how I'm vibe coding Winhance. Now I've maybe got an hour or so that I can record while I'm working on the project, so I don't want to waste any time. In the previous video, I basically gave you an introduction of the series, and then I also took you through the entire roadmap or to-do list that we have at the moment. Now I already went ahead and worked on some of these things, so I fixed the Winhance shortcut not appearing in the start menu. That is working on both Windows 10 and Windows 11. I also fixed the changing of the default installation location. That wasn't accepted by the Winhance installer. So even if you did select another location to install it, whether that be a portable installation or a normal installation, it wouldn't honor it and it would just install it to the default directory. So that's fixed, or it will be fixed in the new update. Then I am in the process of making Winhance a winget package. And I have started that, but it's not finished yet. And then another issue we had was that the Winhance installer is not working in Windows Sandbox. But from my research, this seems to be a bug with Windows Sandbox and not Winhance. So there have been many bugs reported that .NET applications don't run properly in Windows Sandbox. So users who want to use it in Windows Sandbox will have to wait for Microsoft to fix that bug. But what I want to work on during the recording of this video is some of these UI improvements, so that there's clearer indication between toggle enabled and disabled states. So the issue is that a lot of people feel that these toggle states don't clearly indicate whether it's enabled or disabled. Now, what I appreciate from you guys giving me feedback on the video as well as on the GitHub issues page is you're leaving comments like this telling me that it's not clear to you which switch is on and off, like I just explained, and it might be better to use different colors to make it clear. But a lot of you guys replied to this comment and just said simply make it green or red. A lot of you agreed, and then this person also said add an X or a checkmark symbol as well for those who might be colorblind. So I think both of these are really good ideas, and I appreciate these comments because it's really direct and clear on what you expect to make it better. And I agree with this. Like I said in the previous video, I might not implement every single thing that you guys are requesting to this application, but I do agree with that, and that's what we're going to be working on in this video. If there's more time, then I will be adding some of the external packages that you guys requested to the external software section here, and then we'll see how far we can come with the time that I have to record this video. Now, first off, the code editor or the IDE that I'm using here is called Winsurf, and it's also an AI code editor, the same as Cursor. And if you've watched some of the previous videos I made on this channel about vibe coding, I was using VS Code with the Client extension or the Roo Code extension before. But to be honest with you, I keep jumping between some of these code editors and these tools as they get more updates, and sometimes one of them just works better than the other. But for now, I'm using Winsurf, and that's what I'm going to be using in this video. But in the future, I might use Cursor or VS Code again. It just depends on the timing and what I feel like. Now, also, like I've explained before, I'm not a developer. I didn't take a course in coding or whatever. I'm using AI to write the code and get my ideas into an application. And that's also called vibe coding by the community. So we're going to start by vibe coding this change into Winhance. So if you're into vibe coding or writing software with AI, this video might also be useful to you because I might prompt the AI in a certain way or do things a certain way that you haven't thought of or you haven't done to get the results that I'm looking for. So first off, because this is a large project with many different files, I'm going to give the AI the files that we're working on. And I can also open it in the tabs here, but I found that it's better to actually give it the exact files that it needs to work on. So the toggles that we're working on isn't in the software and apps screen. It's only in the customize view and the optimize view, or also called the features. So right here, I'm in the customize view and I've got all the different views here. So the customized view is just a container for all of the other subviews that's inside of it. Now, if I just open the Explorer Customizations subview here, for example, and we have a look at this file, I can show you that the toggle button that we're using is a static resource, the material toggle switch. So we actually don't have to go through each one of these files and make the change in them individually because it's actually using a template or a style for all of these switches. So I'm just going to do a search for this material toggle switch in the application files, and it's obviously going to be in the toggle switch styles file. So I'll open that. So now that I've found it in the toggle switch styles here, I'm just going to copy the path of that file and then I'm going to paste that to the chat here. So I'm just going to give it this instruction and tell it to change the toggle switch styles so it looks like this. The enabled state will have a green fill with a check mark on the knob, and then the disabled state will have a red fill with a cross or X on the knob. And then the toggle switches must look the same in both light and dark themes of the application. So what it should look like when it's enabled is it should have a check mark on the knob here, and then the fill, the background there, should be green. And when it's disabled, it should have a cross on the knob and the fill should be red. So I'm going to give it that instruction and we'll see if it can execute on it in a one-shot prompt. So let me just drag this a little bit bigger and we can see what's going to happen. Okay, so it's finished editing and it changed the visual indicators, the color scheme. It'll have theme consistency and then interaction improvements where it maintained the hover effect state for better user feedback, and added a proper disabled state with reduced opacity. So I'm going to accept the changes to the file, and then I'm going to run the build again, and we'll see if it actually worked. So I can see that the build failed with errors, and this happens a lot when you vibe code. So I'm just going to copy that error and then paste it back to it in the chat so it can fix it. And this is because it can't find the trigger target. So it sees the issue. It's because the track background element is defined inside the border, but we're trying to access it directly in the trigger. So it's just gonna edit the file again to fix that issue. Now it notices that there's a syntax error, and it obviously created that, but it's because of the order of these things that it just created not being correct, and now it has to fix all of them. So it actually wants to run the application. I'm just going to reject that and do it myself. So it is launching now. So it built without any errors. Let's see what this looks like. So it did exactly what I asked it to do. And if we switch themes, yes, it's consistent in both themes. So I think that's what people were looking for. And it did follow the instruction correctly. So this should give you a lot better indicator of what's enabled or disabled, because now it has clear colors for if something is disabled or enabled. And it also has a check mark or an X or a cross for those things that are disabled. And as you can see, this was applied to all of the toggles because we're using a theme for the toggles and we're not defining them individually in each of these subviews. So I think that covers this task. I'm going to go to the README page and then update that to mark it as complete. So in the UI improvements, we now have clearer indication between toggle enabled and disabled states. And I'm just going to add that we did this. And the reason I'm doing it this way is when I create a new release, I'm just going to copy and paste all of these items that we completed into the release, because that's just going to save me a lot of time when I draft a new release and when I have to explain everything that changed in the new release. So with that done, let me go through the roadmap again. And like I said, I wanted to work on adding more applications to the external software section. So if I navigate to the external software section here we have a few apps that some of you guys requested that you want to add to the external software section. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select all of this and then copy it. And I'm going to start a new chat, a new conversation, and I'm going to paste that to the chat here. And then I'm going to give it this instruction. We need to add all of those packages to the file I pasted above, but we don't have all of the info yet, like the Winget package name, etc. And if all of them is even available on Winget. I want you to write a new PowerShell script in the root of the working directory that runs Winget search for each of those items and then outputs the info to another file, like a text file or a markdown file, whatever is best. And then for items that don't have a Winget or Microsoft Store package, it should report that none was found so we can find alternate download links. So I don't know if this is going to work, but I want to see if I can save some time this way. So this is going to be a test and we'll see if it works. So I'm just going to send that instruction and then we'll see if it works. So first it's analyzing the external app catalog so it can see what info it needs for each application. And now it's creating the PowerShell script that's going to find us Winget packages. So it created the script. Some of these we already have in the external app catalog, so we need to be sure that we're not creating duplicates. And then we've got the additional requested apps, and then it's going to output it to a file, the results. So it's got a function to format the Winget search results to exactly what we need. and then it's going to search for each application and then also add a summary with all of the found packages and not found packages. So it wants to run the command. I'm going to accept it so it can go ahead and do that. Okay, so it's completed the script. So we're going to examine the results to see which packages we found. And it says that it seems like the script didn't find any packages. And this is unusual and likely indicates an issue with how the winget search command is being parsed or processed in our script. And it's going to modify the script to improve how it handles the winget search results. So the first attempt to find all of these packages did not work, and we're going to try again. And like I said at the start, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm trying to save time doing it this way, but if it doesn't work, I'll just go and manually find each package and its name and then add it to the external app catalog. So we're going to try to run the improved PowerShell script and then see if that works. So it is searching for the files now. Let's have a look at the results file. And now we can see that it is giving us results for these items. So that's what we were looking for. So it did take a while to get this PowerShell script working, but in the end it is working now and we do have a bunch of information, and that's what I was looking for. So I'm going to let it finish and then we'll go through this document, because what I've noticed is there's some of these items that we already have in our external app catalog. So the search is completed now. And I'm guessing it's going to want to have a look at this file, but I'm actually going to stop it because it's going to want to continue with the process of adding these to the external app catalog, because that was the initial instruction that I gave it. But what I want to do next is I want to give it the path of this Winhance package results file, and then I want to give it the external app catalog file again, and then I'm going to tell it the following. So I've told it to compare those two files, because there are items in the results file that already exist in the external app catalog, and we don't want duplicates. Identify the duplicates, make sure that the package names do match in both files for each of the duplicate items, and then if the external app catalog has outdated package names, update it, and then remove the duplicate items from the results file. So I'm going to send that instruction, and we'll see if it can actually do that in one shot. So for some reason, it thinks that the package results file is corrupted, but it's actually not. So I'm just going to stop the command and then give it the path again, and I'll tell it this file is not corrupted. Read it again. So you can see it's analyzing 200 lines at a time, but this file is 1,872 lines of code. Okay, so it has found some duplicates, and it's given me a list of duplicates that I can remove from the results file. So let's search for Firefox, and we're going to remove all of this. Then we can do Chrome. So I'm going to remove the entire Chrome section. While I'm here, I see that we have Classic Shell. Now, in the external app catalog, we have Open Shell already, and Open Shell is a successor to Classic Shell. So I'm going to remove Classic Shell as well, because it's actually an outdated version of the application, and people should rather be using Open Shell than Classic Shell. So next we have Opera. So I'm going to remove Opera completely. Then we have Evernote. So I'll remove Evernote. And I could have the AI do this for me, but the issue is this file is already 1,400 lines. It was 1,800, and we're just going to be stuck in an endless loop of it trying to remove these items, and it's just not going to be a fun time for any of us, and it's going to take a really long time to do that. So I'm just going to do this manually. Okay, so I've just finished removing all of these duplicates, and then it says that we need to keep these new packages in the results file. Now I just want to go through this manually and look at each of these entries. So we've got the KeyPass XC here for both the MS Store and Winget. I'll leave that as is. Then we've got Pot Player. We have 7-Zip, but I think it actually missed this because 7-Zip is already a part of the external app catalog. Let's just verify the package name, 7zip.7zip, and that is correct. So that's the thing, guys. You can't trust the AI to do everything, because it said it went through all of the IDs, but it didn't, because this file it was almost 2,000 lines of code. The external app catalog is also 1,100 lines of code. And I'm going to be breaking up this external app catalog in the future into the different sections so that we don't have such big files with all of the information in them. We should have separate files so it's easier to maintain these projects. And I might even do that after this recording, I'll see, but I might leave that for the next update. I'm not completely sure yet, but I'm going to go through these items here. So 7-zip we already have. I'm going to remove that. Adobe Reader, it says it didn't find any packages, but we already have Adobe Reader here. It's Adobe Acrobat Reader. So I already have that in the catalog. Discord, I'm also pretty sure I also have. Discord we already have, and it is discord.discord. That is the package name, so I'll leave that as is. But we have come to the end of this recording. I've been recording for over an hour now, and my time is up. And if you're wondering why the time is up, it's because the wife and kids are home now. I don't have an office yet or a separate room that I can go where it's quiet to keep recording all day or to live stream while I'm recording these things. So I take the time that I get to record content for you guys. And although we didn't get through everything that I wanted to get through in this video, I am quite happy that I at least showed you that I changed the toggle states for when an item is enabled or disabled. So this is what it will look like in both the dark and then the light theme. I'm going to continue working on this list of things that I need to fix or add to the application because I want to try and get a decent update out by the end of this week or the start of next week, and we'll see how it goes. Tomorrow I'll get some time again to record another video for you guys, and then I'll give you an update about how far we've come with this roadmap or to-do list that I have here. But thanks so much for watching. If you're watching this all the way to the end, that's pretty awesome. I appreciate that. Let me know your feedback down in the comments below, and I'll talk to all of you guys soon.